Alright, so this is part 2 of the bike flip series. This is the rear wheel. The first part we did the front wheel. Difference here obviously is that the freewheel or cassette, depending on your model, is going to be on the back. So the axle is a different length. The threads that stick out on either side are going to be different in terms of how many there are. So it's going to be very important here to keep track of what side you're on. I've already deflated the tire. It's actually backwards. You can see here the rotation is that way, but the wheel is going to be spinning that way. So whoever installed this last put it on backwards. So that needs to be fixed. It's also untrue. So what we'll do is probably true it here in this video. What I'm going to do right now is remove the freewheel. So you need a freewheel removal tool. There's different types, different sizes. This one is a general all-purpose one made by Park Tool. So that's what I'm going to use to take it off. So I don't have my phone stand yet, but basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the wheel on the floor and I'm going to take this big crescent wrench. I think this is a 12-inch. And what I'm going to do is take it off. So it's threaded here onto the actual hub and then it'll come off. So I got the freewheel removed. You can see here this side has the threads, and those threads are what hold the freewheel on. So the freewheel back here has the threads, and then the inner part here will move against some bearings. We'll run this through the ultrasonic cleaner later, and then I'll probably do another video on how to re-grease it. But for now, what we're going to do is concentrate on the back axle. Okay, now that everything's cleared out, we're going to put the grease into the bearing race. Trying to do this one-handed. I have a phone mount coming finally from Amazon, but for now I'm going to have to just hold this. So I'm going to grease up the races in here. And then we're going to put the ball bearings back. So there's 9 on each side. So we'll put 9 here, obviously, and then 9 on the other side. And we've also already cleaned the axle, and then I wiped off the ball bearings. You can put new ones, obviously, if it's something that you really want to replace. Typically, I don't think these really have much issue in being reused. So that's what I'm going to do here. All right, so I've put the bearings in. You can see there's all 9 of them. I chose to do this side, which is the non-drive side, because that is the side that we have available here. We had taken off the drive side. So I'm going to be able to stick this directly in and then flip the wheel over and do the same thing on the drive side. So I flipped the wheel over. I've put the remaining bearings in. They're sitting on top of grease. It's kind of hard to see because it's dark. Now what we're going to do is put the cone back in, and then we'll put the spacer and lock nut, get it all nice and snug, and then we'll true the wheel. The axle I'll put back together, move it nice and smoothly. Now what we're going to do is true the wheel. It's kind of hard to show here. Let me see if I could get it spinning. But you can see it's wobbling. So definitely one or more of the spokes is out of tension. So what we're going to do is put it on the truing stand. If you don't have a truing stand, you could also just mount it to the bike and use the brake pads as your guide. It's what I used to do before I had a truing stand, and honestly sometimes it's easier just to keep the tire and everything on, but I'll show that now. So I got the wheel all set up here in the true stand. There's these little, I guess you'd call them hands, gauges, I really don't know what you'd call them. They sit there, and as the wheel spins, in this case it knocks them out. It's a pretty cheapy truing stand, but it does the job. What we're going to use with it is a spoke wrench, basically all the different sizes of the spokes, and you loosen or tighten the spokes accordingly to move the wheel. So if I need to move the wheel here to the left, what I want to do is tighten these spokes or loosen those on the other side if they're too tight. I have a spoke tension meter that I'll use if it's just getting out of hand. Most of the time it's just 1 or 2 that just need a small adjustment. I'm going to try and show it here and go slowly. You can see there it's pushing a bit out on the right side. So what I need to do is I'm going to check the tension on these, and if they're too tight I'm going to loosen them, which would move the wheel to the left. If they're right where they need to be and this side's a little loose, then I'll tighten this side a bit to pull it that way. And I'm going to want to look at just the sector, you know, maybe 4 or 5 spokes here in a row of where all that's happening, and adjust accordingly. Right, so it took a little bit, but the wheel is pretty true now. It's got a very slight wobble that I'm still trying to work out. But even with just a few minutes here, it's way better than where it was. For a mountain bike, this is going to be pretty good. Again, slight wobble. There's like 1 or 2 spokes I got to get into, but I wanted to just show the progress. All right, so I got the wheel all put back together. Show you here. We're going to do the freewheel later. The truing took a little bit longer, I should say, than I expected, but I'm going to show you here. Nice and true, really good, especially for a mountain bike. If it's a road bike, probably want to get it a little more true, I guess you'd say, a little more precise. But overall, this went pretty well. The axle feels good, the wheel feels good. So the rear's done, the front's done. Then we'll work on the rest of the bike here in the next couple videos. I think I'll do another one on how to rebuild the freewheel. That'll probably come up tomorrow.